Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have very special guests joining us for our pancreatic cancer fundraiser. We have Sleep Nation. How's it going today, y'all?
Doing great.
What's up?
Glad to have you back. I couldn't believe it's been over 3 years, but that's how life is. So
yeah. Well, I'm glad to be back though.
Yeah, thank you, Tom.
Yeah. How's everything been going with y'all? Y'all been killing it out in Nashville, been paying attention. So how's all that been going?
Well, we released a 20-song album last year. And I guess technically it'll be tomorrow when this is released. So tomorrow, the 22nd, is going to be our release of our album Deadbeat Disco. So I am super excited about that. Disco inspired, 9 songs of just straight up, dancey rhythms. So yeah,
it's bound to get everyone up and dancing for sure with a rock hybrid, of course. So
for sure. What inspired the disco in infusion, whatever you want to call it?
So I threw a disco party for my wife, and I made a disco playlist. And then I just after the party, I couldn't stop listening to it. And I always kind of made fun of, my stepmom was a big Bee Gees fan. I always kind of made fun of it, the Bee Gees a little bit until I watched the documentary. And so then I watched that documentary that came out on HBO, and then I threw that disco party for my wife. And then I started listening to that playlist that, had all these just great great dance songs. And I'm sitting here why I did not give this genre of music has been so vilified. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the rock DJ who threw that disco is dead stadium. I think it was back in the early 80s. He invited all these, and they had to shut the game down because they burned all these disco records out in the stadium. And it was it's absurd. I mean, the guy was doing it essentially because he was losing his job. And I don't know. I just whenever I get into a subject, I read about too much about it and just over obsess about it. So that's what I did with disco. And I was like, Joey,
here we are.
Let's do a dancey, of course it's not, I mean, you're not going to listen to the album and be this is most it's just, there's just kind of a good dash of, it's like Sleep Nation trying to do disco, but
our own iteration of disco, essentially. Kind of a throwback.
I was going to ask, how many times did you listen to who was it that did the Bee Gees cover album? Was it Dave Grohl, I think?
I listened to that one time, and I was I'd rather listen to Bee Gees. I mean, it was a cool idea,
because he did that during the pandemic, I think, right?
I think so. Yeah.
All those years are starting to blur together, and it's
for sure.
I thought for sure something happened during the pandemic, and it happened 3 years before, and I was like, well, I guess getting to that age, so
wouldn't know the difference at this point.
Right. So you said the album's releasing on the 22nd.
Yep.
And you're doing a release show?
Yes, at downtown Nashville at Flavor 90s Bar. We are doing a album release party. We're titling the Space Disco. So we're gonna play the album in its entirety. And then after that, DJ DX is going to spin all of your favorite disco hits. So
the disco hit.
Yeah.
Now, is DJ DX, is that intended to be a wrestling reference, or Do we know?
I don't think it is.
Okay.
But yeah, I was wondering that myself. You know, I was
Okay.
like, suck it.
Right? It's like he opens up the set, and then all of a sudden, it's just like a big old suck it sign comes down. It's like, well,
The DJ, her first name is Dixie, so
Mhm.
I think she was wanting to do like a kind of like a shorter version of her first name. So
Okay.
that's where DX comes in. But yeah,
Gotcha.
I'm on the same, you know, like
Same
thought
thing,
process. I was like,
that one.
fuck it, you know.
Right? That's funny. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much. And so, how long have you been working on this album? Because I know you just released your 20-song album, which I'm imagining probably cleaned out a lot of your original songs that you had written, right?
I mean, it just got rolling, to be honest.
Right.
Right after that album was done, we like Brand just came back. He's like, "I got some more for you, so let's
Yeah.
start. Let's start cooking."
Nice.
So Robin or what's Rick Rubin, you know, great producer.
Yeah.
Did all the Red Hot Chili Peppers albums and the American Johnny Cash albums. I read his book, The Creative Act, and you know, like whenever you finish an album, he was like, "That's just a space and time, and you move on to the next one." So I took that to like the nth degree. So by the time that we stopped working on, and then there were two, which the 20-song album that was released last year, like once we were recording that song and the creative part was kind of done and we were just, you know, recording everything, I was already working on Deadbeat Disco. So
Nice.
yeah.
And unfortunately, that's kind of where your brain's got to be nowadays in this industry. It's like, it doesn't matter if you're doing singles or releasing a 20-song super album. If you're, by the time you're done recording one, if you're not already thinking about the next two, even the next two steps, it's like,
Yeah.
you're already behind. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it's the unfortunate part of where the industry is right now. So,
Agreed.
yeah. So obviously you're coming up on the release of the album. What's kind of running through your mind right now as you approach the finish line of pre-promotion and jump into the next line of like really pushing the physical product?
So we're pressing the album into vinyl, which is we've done singles before, but we've never done a full album to vinyl. So that's going to be a first for Deadbeat Disco. So, and it's going to be pressed, or it's being pressed by the Vinyl Lab in Nashville. So yeah,
Nice.
Which is super cool. I've, you know, like I said, we've done 45 releases, and kind of done one-offs, but this is a full, you know, album press. Super excited about that. And then with this album release party, we are you know, we've been playing shows for 3 years now as a two-piece.
Is it 3 or is it longer?
Maybe longer.
It could be longer. I don't
yeah,
know. The years blur together at this point.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, about 3 years. And we are going to we've got a bit of a surprise. So we're going to do it as a 4-piece for
Nice.
the Deadbeat Disco album release. We've got 2 individuals that we are bringing on stage with us to perform it, and I'll just be singing. So I'm not going to have a guitar in my hand, which I've wanted to do for a very long time. And yeah, so November 22nd, I'll finally get to do it. And
He's gonna have all the space. He's about to be wild.
Yeah.
Right. That's, and so you also said you've been playing as a duo for about the last 3 years. You guys were a 3-piece before that, right?
4-piece.
4-piece. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I knew it was more than that, and I was in the back of my head. I was just like, well, shoot, maybe it wasn't 3.5 years ago, because I thought you were about to say that you started playing together 3 years ago, and then like my timeline's completely screwed up at that point. So
Everyone's to some extent.
Timelines are irrelevant. Man,
Irrelevant.
I can't even pronounce that word.
you're good. You're good. I
Yeah.
100% get where you're at. So no, that's cool. I'm glad you're kind of throwing it back to the 4-piece days. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
that'll be
really
fun.
wanted to bring it into the whole like live atmosphere. I mean, we're both really excited about this release party in general. It's going to be a little bit of something for everybody, you know, kind of
Mhm.
see. So, you know, the last album we did a listening party. We didn't really perform our album in its entirety for a show per se, which was still fine. It was great, you know, good hangout. But I think this one, you know, just to bring it to life on stage as well as being able to get it pressed on vinyl for everyone else who wants it, that kind of thing. I think it's just wrapping it up with a bow and literally just throwing it where it needs to be. So it's pretty exciting.
Nice. That's really cool. Before we continue, though, I do want to thank you all so much for joining us on our pancreatic cancer fundraiser. It's a thing near and dear to my heart. Shortly after our last interview, my mom had passed away from pancreatic cancer, and when last time we talked, I had like just found out like a month prior. So it was in that kind of vein, we decided to do this fundraiser in her honor after she had passed. So yeah, I appreciate y'all joining us.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
man, that's a great cause. Like,
Definitely.
kind of going along those lines is a lot of these songs. You know, I lost my mother to breast cancer when I was 12, and a lot of these songs are kind of dealing with some. I don't know where I read this from, but it was like write songs that you're afraid to talk about or about stuff, and I think this is the first time that I kind of got into that. And there's stuff that, you know, I've don't feel comfortable talking about. Or, you know, but I'll sing about it. So
it gets it out there one way or another.
Yeah. So I don't know. So you know, I don't know what it's like to lose a mother later on in life, but I definitely know, you know, the pain, man, and it's you know, thankfully, like you have your creative outlets to help you, you know, make it through. So
yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where it's actually kind of interesting you brought that up about losing your mother a little bit later in life, because my mom had just turned 65, and so she was still young, but we were kind of at that age where we were actually getting to know our parents as people and not parents.
Yeah.
And that was becoming really interesting. And then she was gone. So it's like, well, I know her as my mother, and what I know of her as a person, like there was just some stuff that we didn't know as kids that it's just kind of like, well, wish I'd have known that one. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's definitely not any harder the older you get. So, or any less harder. There you go.
Yeah.
But so with the upcoming show and the release, obviously keeping you busy. Are you already looking at the next project, or are you kind of going to let this?
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Yeah, I'm actually, I'm pretty much. I've got most of the instrumentation like started on. You know, I've probably got about like 20 songs that hopefully will kind of
break it down,
chisel down to a moderate number. So. Yeah.
Perfect. Will it be back in the same vein of like disco again, or are you going somewhere else with this one?
So the album last year and this year, we did a bit of a quasi concept album where the character, the spaceman, takes over. And so the spaceman is getting his full album next. The concept is going to take over, and the spaceman is going to get his full album front to back. So yeah,
nice. That's really cool. So basically you're taking your concept album and making it a reality, I guess is the best way to kind of word it.
That sounds like a good idea.
Exactly. Like, so So the album last year, and then there were two. The last 4 songs, like there's a voicemail on there, and I'm calling up Joey, and I'm like, "There's lights in the sky," and then it, like the spaceman takes over, and so then the next 3 songs are all like kind of in the spaceman realm, and on this album, a similar thing kind of happens. So the spaceman takes over like the last song.
Yeah.
And then with this, hold on a second.
Oh, you're good.
With the had a call coming in, totally blew my mind.
You're good.
So
This next album.
yeah, the next album, the Spaceman album, the Spaceman is getting, front to back full full album. The Spaceman is finally getting the full album. It's kind of like we're getting possessed by the Spaceman, and he takes over, and then there's like no more Sleep Nation,
and it's just Spaceman,
yeah,
like an alternate reality situation. Yeah. I mean, last album kind of already. It already teased at the character, and even with our live shows having the costume changes and things, we've manifested this Spaceman character. So it's gonna be great to kind of really bring that to life in its full production at that point.
Nice. That's really cool. I'm excited to hear. I'm excited to hear the current new album coming out in November. I'm excited to hear that one. I'm excited to hear the future project. You guys just always do really cool stuff, and I'm excited. I'm glad you guys have been killing it.
Thanks.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Yeah. So just kind of outside of music, what have y'all been getting into? Like just when you have free time. I don't know if you guys know what free time is.
Free time. What's free time, Brian?
Yeah, I don't really have any other hobbies than playing music.
Working music. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys have day jobs outside of music?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Gotta do something to pay those bills.
Right. Yeah. Especially right now. I totally get it. So where are you guys kind of at show wise right now? Are you playing pretty consistent? Obviously you've got your release show coming up, but outside of that, are you playing pretty consistently, or is it a little bit lesser?
So historically Sleep Nation usually takes a sabbatical, during like Christmas time. So that's going to happen, which will give me, give us more time to kind of finalize on the Spaceman album and kind of tweak it. And then I think like in January, end of January, we'll probably start kind of, playing, get back started, the engine up. I hate releasing an album towards the end of the year, but it, hopefully it just worked out that way. So, we'll play an awesome show and then leave everybody hanging for a while.
With a good taste.
Fair. Well, I mean, I guess in a place like Nashville, unless you're able to kind of get outside of the city, you probably don't want to overdo it unless you're down on Broadway every day, just banging out those 4-hour cover sets.
Yeah, that's a whole other animal on its own, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've never played on Broadway. I haven't played 4-hour cover shows on Broadway. I did the 4-hour cover, show thing at various places in Middle Tennessee. And it's
a thing.
That's a different animal. I really respect those people that are just out grinding and playing Sweet Home Alabama for the 500th time, and drunk people.
And we know a lot of people who are doing that.
Yeah,
every day.
I don't see how they do it.
Don't envy that.
Right.
It seems so soul sucking. I don't know how. I mean, like
I was going to say demoralizing a little bit, because it's. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, there's some bars, the way they're set up, you have like 4 bands playing in one bar.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, dude, could you imagine if you were that one guy that you just had like an off night and you ran everybody out of your section and they all went to other sections of the bar. Like
Mhm.
that doesn't sound fun to me.
No.
So
No.
Don't be that guy.
right.
Yeah.
So once the album's out, you guys are just straight up going into Christmas mode or holiday mode and just hanging with family and friends. Is that kind of the plan?
Yeah. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
really, seasonal, holiday, Christmas slash new recording ideas type situation.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause we're going to gear up to start getting back into the studio too to start working on the next
Mhm.
album, of course.
Yeah.
And then once things start, like Brian said, January, February, once things start to kind of work their way towards spring, start looking into more ventures back out again to for the new year and such like that.
Awesome. Well, I don't want to keep you all too much longer because I know you guys got a whole bunch of stuff to get ready for and big show to rehearse for and all that fun stuff. Well, have you guys been rehearsing for this show pretty consistently or
Yeah, that's all we've been like. We kind of haven't really had any shows booked for a couple of weeks, and we've just been
Nailing it out.
yeah, just
Nice.
all been worried about this show and this show only. So
right? Well, it's one of those things where you're bringing in two new music. Are they new musicians or have they played with you in some capacity before?
one of them has played with us one time on
Mhm.
like 3 songs. But they're pretty like these songs are fresh to us because we've
Mhm.
never played them live, and they're fresh to them because they've never they're super fresh to them. So
Yeah.
But they're both
yeah.
very talented musicians,
Yeah.
so definitely
Awesome.
trust that they have all this together.
Because with the last album, we, Joey and I had been playing some of those songs live for like 2 years before we played,
We're able to get
before we
into the album.
recorded the full album. So, like by the time some of those songs on that album were like, man, I'm a little, this song is rusting up a little bit. So like
Right.
these songs are just, they still feel really
are
brand
brand
new. And
Yeah.
I'm a little like it's a bit of a daunting task to get up there and play songs that you're not, just super comfortable, that you haven't kind of broken in, that new pair of jeans, or like that. They still have a lot of newness to them, and
Right.
so hopefully we just go out there and kill it, and it's a great set. So. Because if not, that's going to really bump.
Right.
It's going to be such a bummer.
And you're the DJ.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you
At least
guys I was going to say, do you guys feel like a sense of, I mean, obviously nerves are kind of coming into play because you're practically building out a brand new set. Like, you got to bring in 2 musicians that haven't really ever played with you before. Like, I mean, you had the one musician that's played a couple of songs, but, just kind of trying that flow. How's that whole experience of just kind of rebuilding your live set gone? How's that kind of felt?
I think I'm super excited about it, and I think I enjoy performing as a 2-piece. I feel like Joey feels the same.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean, we
for sure.
enjoy performing as a 2-piece, and I think creatively we're going to stay a 2-piece.
Okay.
But with that being said, I don't know. After this show, we may be, creatively a duo,
Yeah.
but when we perform
With
live,
guest performers,
we may never look back on this because
Right.
I'm always tied down with a guitar.
I was like, once you get that feeling not having a guitar
Yeah,
while show,
and-
you might consider something different.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and I don't want to. So this is the first time with our singles and last year's album. We had only worked with our engineer and producer Tony Grissom. He did engineer Deadbeat Disco, but we brought our friend John Nicholson with I Productions to act as an actual like his job was he produced this album, and then Tony engineered it, and that's how, like, there's pre-production. So this album we kind of approached it differently, and I know I got a lot out of working with John and him just being like, don't do it that way, do it this way. Do that again. You might need to do another take on that. So that was a huge like kind of burst of fresh air for this album.
Yeah. I mean, and like we said before, it's when it's just us two sitting in the room, we've rehearsed these songs so long, and then you record them, and to our ears it sounds the same. It's just it's great to have an extra fresh pair of ears to listen and call us out when it's like, okay, I think this could be pointed in a different direction. And sometimes, I mean, and that has happened on numerous occasions where we're not thinking of it, but someone else on the outside is thinking of it, and then after we listen back to it, the changes, we're like, okay, that's the ticket, you know. But sometimes that's what it takes. It's just that extra pair.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
And so I think this is going to be his first album that he has produced under the I Productions moniker. So super excited for him, just like being a part of allowing, his time on this and allowing to work with us. So I'm super excited about like just that part of it. I think he really upped our game and just like songwriting and song crafting and how this album's gonna. I think there's a different. You can tell like there's a different touch to it. Not only is there like it's more dancier, but it's also just kind of better crafted songs, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. And it's really what's the word I want to use? It's really cool that he kind of stepped out and took a chance, because like doing essentially a disco concept album, that can't be easy to produce or engineer. And the fact that this was kind of his first under a new I'm guessing it wasn't his first album, period. It was just under this new.
No, it was his first album, period. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was fresh for all of us, but I think what you're saying is definitely to a point, because Brandon and I do come up with some crazy ideas sometimes with the way we perform things, and it's nice to have a friend of ours to be able to take this and be able to support it and accept it and just lead it in where it needs to be, so and just give that final touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brand, Joey, I really appreciate y'all joining us on the podcast today. If anybody wants to check out Sleep Nation, the album, all your music you got out, the new album, shows, all that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
Just search on Google Sleep Nation, and you'll get us and/or a mattress company.
That's usually the running joke. Yep.
Yeah, it's
true.
It's an old joke, but it works. It's
Now, is the mattress company in Nashville?
I think there is a location in Tennessee, but I'm not really for sure.
I was gonna say, it almost sounds like a brand match in heaven, if you ask me. So
that would be so cool. I'm not against doing commercials, so
right.
Do it.
It's like just pimp out the back of your touring van and just be like, yeah, we got mattresses.
Mattress.
We'll put a mattress on stage. I've seen there's an 80s cover band in Nashville, and they're called Rubik's Groove.
Oh yeah.
And they did a Halloween set one time, and it was like it was Freddy the Krueger concept, and so they had a bed out on the stage for this thing. It was kind of bonkers, but I was like, that's interesting, and that would kind of work with us, Sleep Nation, the mattress company.
Just meant to be.
Right. I dig it. I really dig it. But really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll have to do it again. Hopefully not in 3.5 years. A little bit.
Hopefully, much sooner.
Sounds like a plan. Hey, just plan on early next year for the Spaceman album. So there you go.
Actually, I'll be out in Nashville the 19th of February. So
Sweet.
Cool.
we'll offline that one, but yeah, we'll get that
Awesome.
conversation rolling. So
Thank you so much, Tom.
Thank you.
absolutely. Once again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll be back here in a little bit.